So one of the things that can really bother me is when I flip back from BPUV edit, I lose my grid, and there's no way of getting it back. So the quickest workaround, which is a really stupid solution, and you have to get your backdrop back, is just select everything, copy it, ask for a new scene, Control N, and just place everything into it. You get your textures, you get your geometry. The only thing you don't get back is your backdrop in the side view. So I have to pick that up again. Let's see. Get that dinosaur back in there. And now I'm going to start with the hind leg. I'm not going to do the front leg. I'm actually not going to do the hind leg in full in this tutorial because it's basically a repetition of what we've already done with the body. But I'm going to show you the basics because there's a couple of things that are handy. And one of the things is we start off with a circle again. And we're making it editable. We're putting in a subdivision. By the way, when I change this to 1, it flips back to 2 because it basically splits everything into 2. So that was my bad. But if you go to 1, it will flip back. So that one. And now we have 8 points. We're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to take this point, and we're going to say that's going to be our first point because that's going to be on the inside of the leg. And we're going to take this whole contraption, scale it down to where the leg is going to be attached to the body. Scale it down even more. Something like that. Scale it. Move it. And maybe even rotate it a little bit so that the first point is going to be in there. And once I go to perspective view, it's actually inside the low poly mesh. And we're just going to move it out. And now I'm just going to flip the 2. I'm actually going to put the dino body into the invisible layer and move this one out of it and move this up. Make it like a nicely high density polygon so that my circle will snap to this high poly mesh. Now I'm going to go back to the side view, take the circle, and make a copy because I don't want to mess up my first circle. And this circle, circle point 1, I'm just going to project it onto the dinosaur's body. Now I'm in the side view. I took the curve out. I'm selecting project. And it's already set to view, so it's taking the side view, and I'm just going to apply it. And basically, you get this projected circle. Now, what you need to do is for the next circles, you're going to have to, well, first of all, get rid of the caps again and put this down to 15 and 2. And then we start rotating and scaling and non-proportionate scaling the circles again, building it down. Take note that you got that really thick muscle in the calf and the kneecap, and I'm actually going to show you the geometry, actually show you what it looks like, but you have to use your own eyes just to judge if it looks okay. And at the end, we're actually going to get 2 points. I'm going to show you that. 2 points at the top of the circle that are going to be the creases in between the toes. So stick around. So I've modeled the leg somewhat. I got a loft, and I got a little bit of the calf muscle here in the kneecap, etc. You can tell if I go through the separate lines that I've moved it along and rotated it, etc., etc. And coming down here where you get to the toes, I actually had a spline here that is still a circle. And the two top points right here, I basically folded them back. So if I switch off the loft, you can tell I basically folded 2 points back. It's not the most beautiful claw in the world, but it works. Oh yeah, and one of the things that you can do is once you have this floppy little circle and you want to fix that into a neat, flat, planar circle, then what you do is you, for instance, you select all the points. So Control A, and you go to Mesh, Commands, Set Point Value, and then you go over the world axis because this is the Z axis of the world, and you say Center, and you apply it. That will make it completely flat again and easier to manipulate. So like I said, I'm going to fix it once it's a polymesh, and I'm just going to switch on the loft again. It's not that bad, and we're going to put these two meshes together. So what I'm going to do is actually make a copy and put this first loft and call it leg, because otherwise we don't know what it is, and just stash it into my invisible layer, take the other copy and make it editable. Now what we need to do is keep these things separate, so might be a good idea just to select all the polygons in this leg and just put this in a selection object, call it leg, and actually combine these two, so the dino body and the leg, into one single mesh. So connect and delete. Now you get two selections. That's because the first selection is put into the one of the body is put into a separate selection tag. Now one of the things that also happen is that it puts this in the selection tag. The material tag or the texture tag is actually only assigned now to the one part of the mesh. Let's just call this body. So if you leave that in here, then you're only going to see the textures on the body and not on the leg, which is kind of a pain in the ass. Okay, we're just going to do two things. Go to the BPUV edit again, and let's move in on the nose because we haven't fixed that yet. Right, and I'm in polygon mode. I select these polygons, and let's see, only select visible elements. Yes, I haven't selected the wrong polygons, and go to the UV mode, go to the front, push, let's do A. No, doesn't work. H then. Yeah, that works, and actually this is the right size. We're just gonna go to projection and say, okay, this is a frontal projection. Now that mesh, that part of the mesh is really this tiny little bit here, this clump of UVs that we're gonna put right into where it's supposed to be, the area, roughly. I'll adjust this later on. And let's see. We're gonna get to the leg now. And if I double click that, I'll select all the polygons in the leg. This I can adjust later on, by the way, because it's kind of got a little bit of an angle here. And selecting all the polygons, sorry, UVs. And I'm going to go down to relax and apply it. Now, getting the leg back, this is probably where all the toes are. It's a little bit messy, but at least it's unwrapped properly, and the smaller polygons with a smaller surface area are actually smaller. Now let's see. Let's move my body UVs. Let's move these out of the way. Should be in UV. Let's move these out of the way. Let's put them to the side like this. And now I have plenty of room for the legs and the front legs, etc. So I'm going to take this part of the mesh and go to the UVs and scale that down like this and rotate them around like that. I'm actually going to scale them up a little bit again. And normally I would say, yeah, you can mirror these UVs, but in this case it might be actually rather smart to make room for a separate leg. So you're going to have the UVs of the right leg not just overlapping with the UVs of the left leg. But we're going to take it to the next level, like exporting this UV map into Photoshop and actually fixing up something with procedural textures later on when we've done the Photoshop thing, which is really simple. And making this look like slightly like a dinosaur that could actually be in game.